Folks, welcome back to So Bad It's Good. So I have been fixated on this new docuseries on Netflix under the banner of Trainwreck. And at this point, I think the title Trainwreck has such brand loyalty with me, and I think with a lot of you out there. Obviously, they did the Woodstock 99 years ago, which I was blown away by. I still think about that. And then they started off with the Astroworld tragedy, which was so insanely good. We obviously talked to the director from Poop Cruise, but they also did Mayor Rob Ford. They've done the American Apparel story. And then there's stories that I have never heard of. And that is where we are at today. I did not know what to expect with Trainwreck PI moms. And I got into this story, and we cover so much reality TV here, but I had never heard about this. And within an hour documentary, I was so taken by this story, the twists and turns. I didn't see where it was headed when it started. They promised big things, but I thought, oh my God, if just on its face what this was intended to be, which was a reality show about these PI moms, I would have been locked in. But this thing takes more twists and turns than your average action film. But we are so lucky to have the director with us today. Not only is he a director, he's an amazing editor as well. The one and only Phil Bowman. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Ryan. Thank you very much for that intro, and thank you for having me.
No, thank you for being here. Now, this comes out on the 22nd. And I think at this point, do you get nervous when a project of yours is about to be released and how the public will respond to it, even when it's the Trainwreck series, which has been gangbusters on Netflix?
I think the major feeling is just like excitement, because I think you make things and you do all this hard work for so long with so many people for things to get seen. And the sort of privilege of making stuff for Netflix is like, you're going to get eyeballs on it. They've got so many streamers, and documentaries are so popular on the platform that it's a real privilege to make stuff on there, and just sort of sit back and see what the public make of it.
When you got approached to direct this portion of the series, I mean, how do you do the elevator pitch for PI Moms, or how was it pitched to you, this story, before you got involved?
That is a great question. So I'd done quite a bit of work for Raw before, and then I heard that there was this series that they were thinking of turning Trainwreck into an anthology, and would I like to come in and meet some of the producers and talk about it. And they kind of had sort of short pitch decks for all of the stories, and most of them are pretty much the ones that have made it into the series. And I was just immediately drawn to the world of PI Mums. I was like, this is absolutely fascinating. I love the sort of film noirish feel that it has, within the sort of spy undercover world. And
it was like it was like Scorsese's The Departed. Like there was like betrayals and backstabbing and all of these characters that you set up that you find out do kind of wildly nefarious things all in the course of this hour. But how would you describe to an audience going in of like, this is what it's about?
Okay. Top line, although you've done a very good job so far, but let's see if I can build on that at all. So in 2010, there was a guy called Chris Butler, who was a private investigator with some law enforcement experience. And he was running a private investigation firm in the Bay Area. And he started hiring basically working mums, for want of a better word, soccer mums that they were referred to, going around looking after their households by day, dropping off the kids at soccer practice. And then by night, he would have them sort of scoping out cheating couples, or tracking down people doing insurance frauds, or busting people for doing jobs that they weren't supposed to be doing. And it felt like he had hit upon something. Like they had this real skill set and this sort of invisibility to them, and this empathy that all the clients loved. And he thought, hey, maybe there's something more than just the business here. And I think he reached out to some press people and tried to build that, and he got them into People magazine and then onto the Dr. Phil show. And from there, that's where the Lifetime Network's interest was piqued. And Lucas Platt, our executive producer in the story, he got involved, and he was like sold and like, yeah, let's make a reality TV show. It's kind of Real Housewives meets Columbo was the vibe, and it could be something really different. And he thought it would be the easiest show he ever made, and I don't think it was. And here we are.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously it goes through so many twists and turns. And I just love, the reality show format, which is, came to real, huge heights in the last 20 years. But everybody wants to be on reality TV in some way, even if they are involved in criminal activity themselves. And I think Chris Butler, who this was around, he is involved in criminal activities, yet he's like, yeah, put cameras on me. Let's document this. And we have like whistleblowers in this that you're like, oh my God. Because at first you don't know where, and I don't know how, I don't want to give away too much for the audience, but I didn't truly know where the story was going because you have so many people working in this. And you also have this thirst for fame because we have somebody working in this office, Carl Marino, who's like a good looking guy that considers himself an actor. All the ladies think he's really good looking and he wants to be part of PI Moms, the show. And the executive producer's like, we're good. We don't want him, but he really wants to be. And so I just think that is so Hollywood of people like wanting something so desperately that they will do anything for it. So there's like so many different angles of this. When you then start researching, once you've taken on this project, are you just trying to because I was like, did you guys reach out to Carl Marino? Like, was there like certain aspects of people that we didn't get talking head interviews with? Were there reach outs for Carl specifically?
Yeah, really good question. So I think the way Raw like to make films, and I think this is Netflix as well, there's a really deep research period, and there was a team on board before I joined the project, and they were reaching out, having conversations with they want to speak to anyone involved in this story to find out really the scope of the story. And, I would say everyone who plays a major part of the story is welcome to be involved, and then it was, up to those people. So I guess you can kind of assume that the people who you might expect to be featured in it, if they're not, that they declined.
I thought he would have hopped all over this. I thought he would have been like, yeah, it's time for some more. But I mean, it just, I was thinking afterwards, or I've been thinking all day, like the last day about this since I watched it, is I need you to direct an actual movie about this now. Like, I need an hour-and-a-half feature from you dramatizing every aspect of this story, because it was like, I just can't express to the audience how many twists and turns this thing takes. As an editor yourself, or working in there, and I know we have a different editor on this, I don't think you edited this yourself. The pacing of this was so amazing. Like, how many different cuts did you have to go through? Because this story just moves.
Well, purely for factual accuracy, I will correct you there. I did edit this.
You did edit it, because I went through the credits and I didn't think I saw your name on that, but I was looking at your list and you have like such a deep editing background.
No, it's because my credit appears twice at the same time. They both pop up at the same time, but I had a super great helping hand from the great Bjorn Johnson towards the end, who came in for like a little polish and sort of objectivity. But I did cut this as well, so I was very much like, it absorbed in my head for a very long time, this film. But I mean, it is part of the fun of the story is the complicated nature of it, and all of the twists and turns, which like on paper just seem like, oh, there's always somewhere to go. But there's so many things you don't like realize about it until you start making it. One is that there's no one person within this story that can see the big picture at the time. There's what's happening over with the TV show, and there's what's happening with the police investigation. And then Pete in the middle, the journalist, like he knows things that other people don't know. So while you're watching, I feel like the audience has more of the pieces. So there's the management of that is interesting. And yeah, as you say, there's like a lot of twists and turns. And I think a feature was talked about at one point. I think the late Lynn Shelton was attached to this at one point. If you Google it, I think she sadly passed away a few years ago, didn't she? But I believe at one point she was, developing something around the story. So, I think.
Well, I think take up the mantle of Lynn Shelton. I mean, I think this is such a fantastic story that I could really see actor. I mean, just like the meta of all of this is so wild, because like you said, you have the reality show executive producer who is in this, but then you also have like a whistleblower that reaches out, or, there's a guy doing a puff piece, you guys, on this reality show. And he thinks he's just going in for a little puff piece about a reality show that's being developed. And then all of a sudden a whistleblower reaches out to him, and all of a sudden he's in the middle of this like Deep Throat-esque kind of story that he ends up, after everything is pieced together, we're writing like a 10,000 word article. It seems like the highlight of his career at some point, but I thought that was so deeply hysterical of somebody that's just like used to writing puff pieces for little projects, and then all of a sudden he's pulled into something so deep and dark that involves drugs and meth and all of this stuff that that was just a wrinkle of the story that made it so good.
Oh yeah, so you're talking about our journalist Pete Crooks, who he works for Diablo magazine, and quite often we're tasked with it's like not a free magazine, but it was a local magazine to like the Bay Area, and it was keeping people up to date with like events that's going on within the area. Maybe there's a farmers market down here, or this local premiere, or this piece of theatre, or if there was an actor who kind of broken through that was from there, he'd do a piece with them. But the funny thing about Pete is like he was always into true crime and stuff and detective stuff, and lots of the famous detective writers. So when this story came along, I think is what appealed to him in the first place about going on the ride along. And yeah, obviously it wasn't like a sort of supplementary press piece that he did end up writing. It was like a big expose about it, and he's ended up doing really well at it. I've just seen it out the corner of my eye. Look, there you go. He
has a book called The Setup. That's amazing.
It's of my
you have signed
edition somewhere. But, he's a lovely fella, Pete, and it sort of was the making of him to an extent, and it's a great article, and he's done well.
Because they're trying to piece together this reality show, as we said, and this executive producer is kind of pulling his hair out as this story is furthering and furthering. But there's like such really great things, even insights about reality TV, of just like the executive producer at one point says, quiet characters on reality TV are death. And I just thought with any reality show, that's great. Just in talking about who you put on camera and who you don't put on camera. When it came to Lifetime, obviously, once it got into the criminal investigation and FBI and things of that nature, was that an immediate kibosh on any furthering? Because this is 2010. I figured in 2025, this story itself, you'd get a three season pickup on a network. It's like, we don't care. We want it. That's insane. But in 2010, was it different to the point where Lifetime was like, we got to back away completely?
I think so. That was the point at which the show ended, was when the arrests were made, and they're like, this is sort of untenable now. It's interesting. You think, how far would this show have ever gotten in 2025? Because with social media, people filming on their phones, would it all have leaked out much sooner, and would they ever really have got going at all? It's an interesting question. But yeah, there was a lot of challenges for Lucas making this. And as you pick up, there's like a little sort of lessons for people in like what goes into making television, which is like quite interesting. It's a show about making a show to an extent. And there's one thing that Lucas said that didn't make it into the cut. He said, it's interesting that not many documentaries are made about how the sausage gets made in terms of reality TV and stuff. And I guess this is an example of the sausage factory exploding. There's a very like Robert Altman's The Player kind of element to this that I thought was really about how this sausage gets made, and then everything that we don't see, which is always, as I get further into this, the thing that's the most fascinating is what aren't we seeing? And that you have to remind the audience that there's actual conversations about who they're putting the camera on. Some people make the cut and some people don't. It doesn't even matter if like this guy is working in the office. We don't see the story right there. We see the story over there. And you actually have interviews with some of the PI moms themselves. And there is actually even like more, moments tinged with sadness, in the sense that this meant something to these ladies. We have like, one of the storylines was these ladies going in to get tattoos that meant something to them. But, some of these ladies are talking about this, in 2025, an experience that happened in 2010, and their expectations of what this could be. And I got to say, I was a little sad for them. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's one of the sort of really interesting things about it, and almost one of the meta parts about it. But they got into the show, the PI mums, with like the best intentions. they'd found this like new career for themselves, doing this thing that was kind of niche and not many people knew was like, oh, this is a great thing for working women to do, working as private investigators, and they wanted like share that with the world and their experiences. And I think Lucas found that it was beyond just doing the jobs. Like these were like interesting women with like rich life experience and a lot going on, that they could sort of start to move away from the cases and build like human dramas around what was really going on in their life. And as you say, the mums on the show really, and this, sorry, the PI Mums show on Lifetime that was never seen, opened up and really shared some experiences. And of course, when the show came crashing down, all of that got completely rubbished and no one ever got to see. So they'd open their souls to the world only for no one to see it. And one of the things I'm happiest about and always saw that this film would be was giving them back that opportunity about 15 years later to be like, if you're up for it, this is a platform for you to tell those stories again so that, you know, your energy wasn't wasted.
Have the ladies that participated in this been able to see a final cut?
I think everyone is going to see it on July 22nd, I think. And yeah, I can't wait to, you know, see everyone's reactions and chat to them about it.
There's another great line in here towards the end, talking about people that kind of sign up for reality shows or things of this nature. And it says like a certain type of person who had an emotional toll in their lives, the adulation of fans will fill that hole. Yeah. And I think that is so interesting, you know, and I think it's truer now today more than it was even in 2010, was people are signing up for these things thinking that it is going to fill this hole up for them. I mean, I see this all the time with every reality show I cover, because I always ask myself, why would you do this? Why would you put your life in any form up for public display? And I think this is, you know, obviously these women went in there with the best of intentions and it all fell apart.
Yeah, it's a really interesting conversation there, because I think so many of us have sat at home, as you say, watch reality TV and be like, I could never do this. I could never bare my soul in this way. But I'm glad these people do, because I really enjoy watching it. And I do think there's definitely there's sort of two ends of the spectrum presented within the show, because there's, I think, people with different motivations basically getting involved in the show. And it's easy for people to say people are only getting involved for fame. I think what we show with the mums in this is that they really got involved with this with the best of intentions. And, you know, it was an exciting opportunity for them to showcase their work and share their stories.
Lucas, the executive producer, I mean, was there a final cut made of PI Moms for Lifetime that we never saw? Did it get to that stage? Did you see a final cut of the pilot?
I've never seen anything beyond the clips that are in the finished film for us. You know, I can't speak to like what happened, but I guess there's sort of like some legal things that might have gone on. I'm not sure of the full story, but yeah, I don't know how far they got. But I've certainly spoken to Lucas about how far they got through the process, and I think at one point there was like a pilot that they felt like really happy with and excited about, particularly because of the strength of the mum's stories.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there's a full pilot out there that we have never seen that's going to get leaked on YouTube eventually one day. Also, how dare you for reminding me of something that I had tried to forget a long time ago, was that there was a TV show called Steven Seagal Lawman, which was a reality series that the executive producer had worked on. I forgot Steven Seagal had a flippin' reality show where he was a lawman.
And that was one of the happy things that I learned whilst working on this show. It wasn't a show that I'd seen before, but I think it made a good case of like that Lucas felt very well qualified to deal with this cast of characters in this PI. I think he dealt with some big personalities previously. I think Dog the Bounty Hunter was something as well that he'd been involved with. So I think he knew his way around, like, you know, people that had an air to them. So again, why he probably thought this was going to be one of the easiest and most fun jobs of his life.
As we start winding down here a little bit, in terms of your actual career, how did you get started in all of this? And what made you want to get started in this industry, you know, as a young kid?
Really, I just always loved films. We watched loads of films growing up. I watched anything I could get my hands on. I guess like a sort of seminal moment in terms of realizing that maybe I could be a person that makes something was like my dad got me to watch Terminator probably when I was slightly younger than the age rating on it. But he did a deck to deck edit on VHS, removing certain like violent bits out of it.
He put two VCRs up together and edited out the bad parts of Terminator?
Well, the bad part, and he edited out one particular scene, which is like basically the whole core of the entire Terminator franchise, the conception of John Connor. So
it was a Virgin Mary type birth of John Connor in your version.
Okay,
yeah.
The lady's having a baby now, that's fine. So I was just interested in like, there's, you realize at that point, there's people that, make these things, I guess. And then I grew up to be like one of those people that's always out with their friends in high school shooting stupid videos in the park, at the weekends. And it's just evolved from there. And
when did you realize you were good though? Like that you were actually somebody that could make a career out of this? Or do you ever realize? Is it just something that you don't think about?
No, literally only just now when you said it. I don't think of it like that. I'm just doing it, and I think just feel really like lucky to be doing it. And yeah, this is sort of how I pay my mortgage, and that's like a complete privilege and a thrill to like tell people stories. I did psychology as my university degree and stuff, and I guess I'm always just interested in people, and this is like a great way to explore your nosiness. Plus, I'm into like music and film and sound and art and stuff, and it's a bit of a mix of all those things, really. It's a joy to be able to dig in and make all this stuff.
Which, by the way, you might be listening to this and not watching this, you guys, but it looks like you're in your own like personal screening room. And is that like a wall of physical media right behind you?
All right, yeah, you've got one as well. Yours is nicely color coded, but that's the wall of Blu-rays where there's too many in plastic wrapping.
Oh, dude,
too busy making stuff.
Did you do the Criterion sale this week?
I haven't done some bits, but I'm actually going out for a recce for my new job, and I think the sale will still be on. And I'll be able to pick up. I want to get the Barry Lyndon 4K.
Oh my God, the restoration on that, the Stanley Kubrick film, you guys. I mean, and if you read about that, I'm sorry, I geek out about that stuff just because he created actual lenses and like the way he shot that was so insane. It's like every shot is almost like a painting in a way. I mean, it's fascinating. What are you headed to now? What are you working on now? How do we keep in touch with your career and support? Because, I was like, man, I'm a fan of yours now. And then, sorry to screw up that editing thing earlier, because I thought the editing was one of the best dang things about this at the clip you moved and being able to tell this story in such a compact amount of time. What is up next for you?
Well, thank you so much. That's super kind for saying. I'm currently just at the start of a new project with Raw that is internally quite different from what we've done with PI Mums, but a superhuman story that I'm excited to get started on. It's early days and we're working on the outline, and I'm about to go on a trip to sort of do some research in the States on I don't know when this is coming out, but I'm going in a couple of days basically. And hopefully that's something that will be announced next year or something, and you might see it on a big streamer. But yeah, that's the next year or so for me. And but I won't be editing that one. I'm putting the keyboard down for the. I'm going to see what happens when someone else pushes the buttons.
Well, I know it's going to be good regardless. But finally, what are you personally watching and listening to right now?
I mean, genuinely, I've been watching all the train wrecks every Tuesday with a bit of distance from them, even though my friends were cutting them down the corridor, and just enjoying them. So I have, as sad as it sounds, just been watching those. My wife's had Squid Game on in the background. I've been listening to lots of Kneecap, Fontaine's DC. I went to see a show with those guys at the weekend. And my friend's band, 96 Quite Bitter Beings.
Yeah, I thought that was an Aussie shirt at first when I was like, is that an Aussie shirt?
It's like a lawsuit waiting to happen properly. No, that's 96 Bitter Beings, my friend's band in LA. Listen to them. I like all sorts of stuff. My Bloody Valentine, I'm going to see them later in the year.
Oh my God! That wall of sound. Well, anyways, you guys, this train wreck series, like I said, whatever it is, even if I've never heard of it, that's like I'm putting anything on that these people do, because to me, it is just in the quirkiness and the weirdness and the pop culture of it all. You are, I mean, it's just an easy. You can trust this, where you can watch any of these and you can escape from your life for a solid hour, which is what we're looking to do right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, the show is called Trainwreck PI Moms. I did my best to not spoil anything too deeply for you all, but I'm going to remind you to watch this. Put this on your Netflix list right now. And Phil, I hope to talk to you again at some point down the line.
Happy to do that. Thank you so much for having me, and hopefully chat to you next time. Well, thanks, man.
Thank you.